logic? Negating what?
Slowly by I'm not the body.
Which I already did, yes, but then how did I then? True. I did negate that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the senses. That's true. So you can be independent of all three, but what makes you think what then, how does it then automatically become free from, limitation of the body? You can be independent but at the same time within, right? So how does it become? The logic for that awareness, not for just using. After showing this logic, I can use other examples to show, but the logic for awareness is that little bit what Sheetal is saying, but she's not completing the argument. You're starting at the right point, but then you're not seeing through the whole logic. This is a starting point. What you're saying is right. Okay? Think. Now think, because you people have studied Vedanta, you should have been reflecting on this. Otherwise, millions of times you hear Atma is free, and you have no clue why. And you just repeat like a parrot. Contradicted by logic. So that means your knowledge has to be so strong. When a physicist is standing right in front of you, you are not shaking and saying, oh my God, I'm studying some scripture and I have no idea, whether it is going to stand true or not. Okay? So that means one logic you have to see, and that is that this body, as Sheetal says, is not I. This mind is not I. This senses are not I. So that means all of us, how many different bodies are there? Many, right? The senses are how many? Many. Your senses are different from mine. Your mind is different from mine. True. All this is true. Okay? But if I show you that awareness is distinct from all of them, then if Shastra is saying awareness is only one, okay, if you were to show me that awareness is not one but many, you have to show me what? Some characteristic that your awareness has which is distinct from my awareness. Then only it becomes two, right? You have to show me, okay, now your body could be white and mine could be brown, so then I can say there are two bodies, right? So you have to give me some attribute of that awareness which is distinct from what? My awareness. If you have taken out the body, mind and senses, what attribute will you give to this awareness which will make my awareness distinct from your awareness? What attribute? Nothing. This is the argument. Logically, you have no way to show that there are two awarenesses. Right? When Shastra says Ayam Atma Brahman, and it shows you how you are distinct from the body, distinct from the mind, distinct from the senses, and that awareness, Sat and Chit, that Chit is Anantam. Has no what? It has no location. Okay? And you have no logic to disprove what Shastra is saying. Having shown this fact that what Shastra says cannot be contradicted, then I can use this example as an aid for you to say, yeah, something which seems to be confined is actually not confined. It gives you what? Certain, that example helps you to understand, but the example by itself doesn't prove anything. Because that example may be true, but that need not apply to this situation. True? Do you get this logic? It's very important to understand what I'm saying. because I'm talking about something. I want your Vedanta to be not some wobbly nonsense. I want it to be totally clear and very, it's showing some facts. Vedanta, the whole Gita is showing you some facts. And if you really understood that fact as fact and totally clearly, nobody can shake it, right? So therefore, this Atma is Ajaha, unborn. The body is born, along with the body, what? All your capacities are born, but Atma is unborn. Okay, now the next description of Atma which is used is Nityaha. So we have to spend time with all of this, because I can always kind of go and I can explain, oh yeah, it's eternal. So you have to ask me, how did you arrive at that, right? I can easily say, yeah, it's all eternal. So how, right? So therefore it requires inquiry. The whole thing requires inquiry. Okay? So now we have to say that the universe, when I say the universe, what does it constitute? You think, what is universe? Three things. Wonderful. So let's say the elements and elementals, so that makes it what we call the objects, right? The elements, what you're using is a Shastra word actually, elements, 5 Pancha Mahabhuta, that's what it is, right? So now those elements are what combined together to become, this whole complex universe. Okay, so that means one. Then what else?
Sorry, what was the question?
When I say the universe, what does it mean?
The whole manifestation of
Yeah, so that the whole manifestation, she collapsed into elements, right?
everything.
So when you say the whole you are not going to be enumerating all the objects. It'll never end, right? By the time you finish some, then some new ones will come, and there are so many unknown things. So that therefore she has collapsed all these different forms into elements, which is wonderful, right? Because anything that you see is a permutation and combination of those elements. So that's a very nice way. So that's what we call the analytical framework through which we understand the universe. Otherwise, if you try to understand each form, then what? There are so many things which are unknown to us even now. Okay, so you can't understand the universe like that. But if you say, even there are things which are unknown to me, they cannot be but what? Different permutation and combination of 5 elements, then what? You've captured everything. Lovely. Okay, so therefore universe means elements, right? And all the different objects known to me, unknown to me, which are nothing but what? Permutation and combination of these 5 elements, right? What else is the universe? Everything is that. Everything comes under that.
We can't comprehend anything else.
Something to do with time. Right?
Wonderful. Time and space, right? When you say the universe, you say all the objects and what? The time and space. Because all the objects exist within time and space. Okay? So that means universe, otherwise you don't even know what universe is, right? So all the objects and time and space within which all the objects exist. These objects, some of them are known to me, some of them are not even known to me. Okay? So now, in this Bhagavad Gita verse, it says, what is Nitya means what? Eternal. Eternal means what? Something which is not subject to time. Okay? Now, it says that Chit, that awareness, is something which is Nitya. What does it mean? It is not subject to time. It is the truth of time and space, and it is not subject to time and space. This is a huge statement. is not just something which is in, the all-pervading something which is within time and space. It is what not subject to time and space. Now that also I need to understand. Otherwise, it will just become what, like blindly accepting what Shastra is saying. Okay, how? So therefore, we have this ingenious method of showing to you right now how this awareness is nitya. Ingenious method. Okay, and that method is, the methodology is what we call Satyam and Mithya. Satyam and Mithya. Satyam is defined as that which is independently existing, and Mithya is defined as that which has a dependent existence. Okay, Mithya does not mean false. Mithya does not mean illusion. It does not mean any of that. It just means that it has a dependent existence. Right? Now, if I ask you what is this? What is this object? What is this?
Table.
Okay, so hopefully, unless you've studied Vedanta, you will answer differently. But in normal understanding, we say this is a table. Okay. Now, who said the wood? Because Nehal has studied Vedanta. So therefore, this table, right? And as Nehal says, that Nehal sees wood and you see the table. Now, who's more right?
Both
Are right, right? Both are right. Can you say the table is not right? That the one who says table is right, right? But table and wood are not synonyms. They are not synonyms. You look at dictionary, the table and wood are not synonyms. So that means they both cannot be equally right. The person who says that it is table and the person who says it is wood cannot be equally right. So somebody has to be more right than the other, right? Now, who is more right?
The wood.
The wood is more right. Why?
Because usually a table is made out of wood.
Excellent. So as Roxy says that the table usually, and even in this case, if you ignore this part, the table is made of wood. So when Nehal says it is wood, and if you say that it is table, then Nehal will say that let me take out the wood and you keep the table. What would you be left
There
with?
won't be anything.
There won't be a table.
You won't be left with anything. Right? So therefore, this table, our Shastra gives this a different name in terms of reality. It is Mithya. Mithya means it has a dependent existence. Dependent on what? On wood. Right? So therefore, now with reference to the table, what is Satyam? Wood. Wood has independent reality. The wood does not depend upon the table, but the table depends upon the wood. Right? So therefore, now the wood becomes Satyam. But is wood really the Satyam? Is it has a dependent reality or an independent reality?
It's an independent.
Does it?
Finally comes down from the tree.
Quantum physics, please. This is where what Vedanta says is something which now the latest discoveries of quantum physics, they come to that. Okay. Now that wood itself has a what? Dependent reality. It depends upon, where does the wood come from? From the tree. Right? Now the tree itself has an independent reality or a dependent reality? Yeah, depends upon what?
Rain, elements of nature.
Absolutely, right? It entirely depends upon, without the sun, the tree will not survive. Okay, without the water, without the earth, it will not survive. So ultimately it comes down to what the element that you are talking about. So therefore, the whole thing is what now, what is interesting is, now take one element, okay, water. What is water? Is it independent reality or a dependent reality? Water, dependent. Depends upon what?
Permutation combination of the elements.
Water is, use your little chemistry, H2O. H2O means 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So therefore, even the water has a dependent reality. Okay? It has what? It depends upon the atoms. Now you look at quantum physics. Now they go what? Beyond. We thought for a long time we thought atoms is the end. Now they come up with what? I mean, they knew it long ago actually. Particles. There is this whole particle physics, right? So each atom can be what? Broken and into particles. Now the particles themselves have an independent reality or a dependent reality? Dependent reality. Okay. Now this is where they are looking into the truth of the part. They have all these labs in Switzerland and all. This is all mainstream physics, right? So they have these labs. They are called, one lab in Switzerland, I think it's called Stern Lab, and they have this huge collider. What they do is they pass the particle and they try to, at a very high speed, and break the particle to see what is then inside. Okay, so they came with quarks and it goes on and on and on. There is no end. Infinite divisions. Okay, so therefore each one, so right now this table is there. Now this same table is what? From one standpoint it is wood. That wood itself is what? Is made up of atoms, and that atom itself is particles, and that particle itself is, that's why any quantum physicist will say this wood which seems like this table which seems so solid, in fact it is what? All these tiniest particles just running around randomly, okay, with mostly space in between. Physics. Okay, what Vedanta said hundreds of years ago is Jagat is Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Mithya does not mean an illusion, it means it has a dependent reality. Okay. Now, if it has a dependent reality, then how far does physics go? They actually don't know what is the final building block of the universe. Because anything you look, it will all collapse into atoms and particles and quarks, and then after a while there is nothing tangible which remains. There is no tangible object which you can claim to be the building block of the universe. It all just becomes what they call abstract, in the sense of what? It all becomes almost like energies, but nothing which is concrete. Okay, so therefore the latest, not very late, the latest, I mean this has been around in physics. What they say is at a very quantum level, okay, there is no defined entity which is predetermined. So what they say, that the same thing can behave like a particle if the intention of the observer is to what? Weigh the mass. And the same thing can behave like a wave if the observer wants to know the speed. So that means this very fixed reality, independent of the observer, this is what we think, right? That whole thing becomes fuzzy. So that means there is no real concrete objects independent at all. Okay? So that means everything collapses into a concept. Okay? Now, what Vedanta, now up to this physics comes. What is the value added of Vedanta? It is not just saying what physics says, it has to say something more, right? What does it say? What it shows is what is the relationship between, right, that concept and awareness. What is the relationship between concept and awareness? Can concept exist without awareness? No. Does awareness need concept to exist? No. So that means that what that object is mithya, and what is the satyam? Awareness. If you can do it on the awareness. So that means if you can do it with reference to one table, you can also do the same exercise with reference to the sun, with reference to the moon, with reference to the planet, with reference to human body, with reference to any given body. Everything is what? Nothing but atoms and particles. After that it is all abstract and a concept, and that concept depends upon one thing, which is awareness. Atma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Okay? So therefore, this awareness is the only thing which is not in the category of elements. The whole Jagat is elements. And the elements are nothing but atoms and particles, and they all collapse into what? Concept. And what is the relationship of this awareness with the entire Jagat is that of Satya and Mithya. Okay? Now, the second thing which constitutes the world, universe, is time and space. So now we have to understand the relationship of awareness with time. Right? Because the whole object universe is elements, as she said, and elements got what? It became dependent reality. And what became the truth? What was the truth? This awareness. Right? So therefore, now, time. What is time?
Moment in space.
Wonderful. Okay. Actually, according to the modern physics, you can't actually divide time and space. You can't say time is a moment in space. Time and space always work together. They go together. Okay. So therefore, now for a long time, Newtonian physics was based on what? Time and space being absolute, and all the objects what? Coming and going within time and space. Now Albert Einstein was the first one who discovered the fact that the space and time itself is what? Relative. That was his famous theory of relativity. Okay. In that theory of relativity, he showed that the time and space itself is relative. It's not constant, it is relative. How do you understand that? You understand it by some simple experiments. There is a little beautiful book about how do you understand the theory of relativity for a lay person. Thin book. And they start with a very simple example, and then they make it a little bit more advanced. Okay. Now it starts with that let's say you are in a cafe or in a restaurant, and you're waiting for your friend to come. So those 5 minutes that you're waiting, and especially if it's your boyfriend or whatever, right? How long, or your husband also, I hope, right? Those 5 minutes of waiting seems like what?
Really long.
Seems like very long. And now you're really enjoying the conversation, and then you have to part. Then that conversation which you had for 2 hours seems like what? So that means in your own understanding, the way the time acts is very different. That 5 minutes seems like 1 hour, and this 2 hours seems like 5 minutes. Right? So that is just our subjective experience of time. Okay? Now it moves what the empirical experience of time. So therefore there are some experiments, it's kind of a simulations, these are not, so there is the famous experiment called two twins. Okay? Two twins are born on this earth, and one is sent outside the space, outside the the atmosphere. Okay? Goes away from the earth atmosphere and goes into the space. Okay? And one twin stays on earth. After 15 years of earth time, the other twin is brought back to earth. Do they age equally? No. They don't age equally. So that means, what does it mean?
The time is
The very
this thing, and you're
slow, yes,
outside.
yes.
Yeah, that's
So that means, yeah, all these science fiction movies, they show that.
they go in space and
Yeah, they go, yes, yes.
like in
And these are, this is all, but actually what they're saying is based on science. They are not just created. It is, right? So and that means that that whole uniformity of time, that wherever you go, time behaves the same, is not true. This is Einstein's theory of relativity. Okay? Now, way before Einstein discovered this whole theory of relativity, Shastra already said Jagat is mithya, time and space is. If Jagat, which includes time and space, and if Jagat is mithya, time and space is what? Has to be mithya. True? Right? Because the Jagat includes object, time and space. Okay? How did they show it? They did not have Einstein's theory of relativity with them to show that Jagat, this time is not absolute and it is relative. Okay? They had an ingenious method, and the method is, right now, just as I looked into the truth of table, and where did I land up? Particles and quarks and concept, right? If I examine the very time, where will I end up? Same, right? If I tell you that what time is the class, 11:15, right? So that means the time, as I said, is 11 o'clock. So that means it is in terms of hours. Now 1 hour is what? 60 minutes. 1 minute is 60 seconds. 1 second is, then it goes microseconds, milliseconds, nanoseconds, and it just collapses. Just as this object collapses, when you look into the time also what? Collapses within units, within units, within units, within units, and it just goes on until only a concept remains. And what is the relationship between the concept of time and awareness? Awareness is Satyam and time is Mithya. Because there has to be something, and on that presence which gets what? Captured as a given unit of time. Unit of time, what? There are units within units within units, but there is a presence which is the truth of time. Nityaha. Atma is Nitya. Okay? It's not ordinary what it says. It's not some silly nonsense that we are studying. We are studying the most sophisticated thinking on this universe. Okay? Space. What is space? Again, how would you even comprehend space? The only way that we actually relate to space is in terms of distance. Right? You are in that point, you occupy that point in space and I occupy this point in space, and what is the distance between two of us? How many? Some meters. How many meters do you think? Yeah, maybe 2, 4 or 5 feet maybe, but meters would be less, right? Yeah. Let's say it is 2. So then let's take one unit as a meter. So now that unit, is it absolute? Meter is divided in what? How many centimeters? 100. Then 1 centimeter is goes on. Now that you remember all the maths that you in your school, you have to remember all that, right? So that means it just what? Indefinite. Yeah, indefinite. Okay, so therefore there is this again a concept. Okay, and the amazing thing is that between this finite distance of, let's say, 2 meters, okay, if I think about the number of points which are there, how many different points are there? How many points? Infinite points. Geometry. Infinite point. So that means the very distance, when you actually begin to look at it, it is what? No, it's not infinite. It is what? Mithya. It's not infinite. It is mithya. That means there is no reality to it. It just goes on what? Dividing further and further and further. It has a dependent reality. That means 1 centimeter, 1 meter has a dependent reality. Why does it have a dependent reality? It depends upon how many centimeters. Then each one has a dependent reality. Each one has a dependent reality. So it just goes on collapsing. The whole time, space and object, everything collapses. What remains is what? Only one thing. That which is self-evident to you as awareness, which you mistake to be what? Body. Only this much. What Shastra is saying is what? It is Nityaha. Okay, Nityaha, then it is Shashvata. What is Shashvata? Shashvata is something which undergoes no change whatsoever. Okay, now everything that undergoes a change is within what? Yeah. So all what she is saying is all the elements and elementals which come from the elements, they exist within time and space, and they are constantly undergoing change. Okay, but awareness is the only thing which what does not undergo change. Why does it not undergo change? Because it is not an object within time. It is what? The very truth of time. If it was a given object in time, it would have what? A location. Location in time, which is what you can say it's here and it's not there. And it would also what? Constantly undergo a change. Awareness, being the truth of time and space, is not something which is undergoing change like the elemental jagat. Okay, it is the truth of time and space, and therefore it is unchanging. Okay, now this unchanging nature of thing, the relationship between satyam and mithya, you have to be very, very clear. Many times people use this whole thing that, oh, this satyam is transcendental. So transcendental means what? You imagine what? What do you imagine when I use the word transcendental?
In another area, another
space.
like space. Yeah.
Exactly. So that means then you imagine what? Somewhere else. And when you imagine somewhere else, then you have to do what? Meditation to go to that, reach that space. What Vedanta is talking is nothing to do with what? Transcendental means somewhere else. What? Being the truth of time, the dependent reality, where is it?
Here.
Exactly. It's not somewhere else that you need to connect to. Okay? So when I say that the wood, please understand, transcends the table, what do I mean?
The word will is there.
So somewhere else it will take a form or something. Means
Independent.
It is wonderful. The table, please understand, when I say the wood transcends, doesn't mean the wood is somewhere else. It only means what? That the table has height, the table has width, the table has dimensions, but does those dimensions, do they belong to the wood? No. Pervading it, it transcends it. Why? Because I can dismantle this table, and from this wood I can make something else of a totally different size and a totally different shape and a totally different width. So that means pervading it, it what? The table, pervading it transcends. Okay, so awareness is not somewhere out there and you need to what? Through meditation connect. Hey, there is only one thing which is always there. Within that, everything what? Is changing. And that reality is you. Now, lot of people, this is a typical people, this is amazing. They said, they say, oh, I understand awareness, but how to feel this awareness? Is this a matter of feeling? Where does the feeling take place? We saw that in the mind and the senses. Okay? Every feeling that you have, that of little bigness and or little smallness, and it will keep varying. There is no person who can keep the mind constant. Nobody, no human being can keep the mind what? From now on constant. Mind's nature is to move. It cannot, if it actually, imagine if I am looking at you and my drishti got stuck, my mind got stuck at you, I'll not be able to what? Think about anything else. It will be the biggest curse. Okay? Mind's nature is to move. Mind's feelings will undergo what? Changes. It cannot but undergo changes. Different situations will bring about what? Corresponding feelings. You can't be totally indifferent, right? Whether you go for a wedding or you go for a funeral, you can't have one feeling. If you do have that, a psychiatrist will take you to a mental hospital because you've lost your capacity to emote. Which is in keeping with that, that right event. Any Vedanta which then talks about some kind of a bliss feeling which always is with you, they don't know what you're talking about. They have reduced this awareness to what? Some kind of a feeling of your mind, and you are what? Hooked for your life. What Vedanta is talking about is the truth of time, space, and every object that exists in the universe, and you reduce it to some frivolous feeling, and then you want to connect and you want to meditate and you want to have this constancy of bliss. It is just a joke. It's a joke.
We want to reach that state.
And that state is some kind of a state you have to reach. What state are we talking about?
Well, whatever happens, you're going to be at peace.
It is just something which is just, it does so much disservice to this brilliant reality that Vedanta. When physicists listen to real Vedanta, they are in awe. They are in awe because so many answers which they don't have, Vedanta seems to have.
And always have.
And you make it into some laughable thing of, something, and people just devote their life. Okay, so therefore, what Vedanta is talking about is never changing reality does not mean that the mind is never changing. Everything, see, unfortunately, what has happened is it's talking about that reality which doesn't change with mind. You continue to think about you as mind, and you want to make mind what? Non-changing.
I want to write that one.
Huh?
I want to write that down.
Yeah.
Vedanta talks about
Never changing reality,
but
that
not in respect to
doesn't
mind.
mean the mind.
Doesn't mean the mind. The mind is changing. Mind has to change.
The very nature of the
The
mind.
very nature of mind is to change. Then you say, oh, I understand. What have you understood? I don't know.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Here again, identifying.
Yeah, with the mind. And that mind, you want to make it into limitless. Will mind ever become limitless?
No.
It will never become limitless. It's a small instrument. But it is intelligent instrument to figure out this reality. So you have to use this instrument to figure out this reality.
So all these people go to Himalayas in search of this blissful state and meditate for years.
See, meditation has its purpose, and I will show you. It is not that it is useless. Please understand. They all have their use, but when you mistake, that is a problem. Okay? There is a very extensive talk on meditation, what it does, why do you meditate, all that I will explain. It will come within Gita. Okay? But this reality is something which is what? This reality of you being that awareness, that what it is talking about is what? Infinitely larger than this little mind that you think. So the constancy or non-constancy of any mind has got nothing to do with this awareness.
That was there and will always remain.
It will absolutely. Within that, the time and space and elemental jagat will
Always
constantly emerge, destroy, emerge, destroy. Billions of mind will think about billions of things and have trillions of feelings. That reality remains unchanged. Ajaha nityaha shashvataha ayam puranaha. Okay, ever new. Ever new, because everything what becomes, everything that comes into being has to go through what we call modifications. Right? So that means if you look at this physical body, it goes through so many different modifications, right? But Shastra talk about a few modifications which are very visible. Okay, one is what we call jayate. Jayate means it's born. So that means while it is born, it is as though new, right? Then what we say, asti. After having born, then you have to survive. There are sometimes, you don't survive after you're born. So jayate, asti, then vardhate. Vardhate means you grow. Okay, then viparinamate. Viparinamate means you undergo some major metamorphosis, some major changes. Okay, viparinamate. Okay, then kshiyate. Kshiyate means then it also by the time start to decline. So that the declining is something that people cannot handle. That's when all the plastic surgery starts and all kinds of interventions start, because you want what? Atma, because you have thought your body is Atma, and that body which is undergoing this change, you don't want to accept because you don't want to be old.
is going to happen whether you
But it is going to happen whether you like it or not. So viparinamate is what it is, then the kshiyate, and then it is vinashyati.
Perish.
Then it will perish. Okay? Anything that comes into being. You look at the trees. Trees have been there. Unfortunately, we are cutting them all. But they have been there for how? You know how old some of these trees are? There is a tree in California which is, I don't know, some thousands of years old tree. People go and they look and they almost like worship, because I mean it has seen so many lives coming and going. Okay, so therefore these trees have a much larger cycle, but they have to go through what? The same thing. Same thing. From the seed it came into being, then it grows. The time scale can be very different, but it also has to go through the same cycle. Okay. Therefore, people get very impressed. Oh, this Baba was some 1,000 years old. Oh, he is having this body for 1,000 years. First of all, nobody has seen that Baba. Secondly, and then that Baba that you believe is 1,000. What is 1,000 years old? Oh, there are lots of books. There are lots of books which are all, they become bestsellers. Absolutely. So first of all, you don't know, and even if that Baba is, and that is some huge achievement.
And he can tell you your future.
And then he can, yeah, absolutely, right? So now this, what in countless flow of time, 1,000 years is what? Nothing. Okay, so it's, yes, from our perspective, it seems like some huge thing, but you increase the scale a little bit, it is as insignificant as us. Okay, so all in the name of spirituality, what all this goes. And then he'll tell you your future. Which future is he going to talk about? What future is he going to talk about? According to this whole Shastra, your future is not predetermined, it is in making. In making means what you do today is going to determine how your tomorrow is going to be, how 5 years now is going to be, how what. Nobody, they may have some access to what you have done in the past, so the overall flow of your life and overall path they may have, right? There's a very sophisticated, this Jyotish also, if you have the traditional Jyotish, it's all mathematics. The whole thing is calculation. It's not just some ordinary thing, it is very sophisticated, very deep calculations. And the better astrologer you are, they will not only look at the position of each star, but how it interacts with everything else. So they have to have so many different calculations in mind to be able to even make some statements. Okay? But even if he is a pro or she is a pro, still cannot predict 100% because you are constantly making your future. You're collapsing those choices. It's given to you as a potential and you collapse it potential. Okay, so therefore all these people with all these powers, even that person who has power itself, what goes one day. Okay? And we get so attracted by all of that because it is a little bit out of the ordinary. So therefore it catches our attention. And then we get totally we deviate from this reality. This reality is extraordinary reality about you. Non-changing, ever new, because this whole process of this thing which you cannot avoid, because every time the whole universe, when it is made up of these 5 elements, then every form is putting together these 5 elements. You cannot avoid this whole process. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate and vinashyati. You can't avoid it. You can stretch it, but you can't avoid it.
And it will only go in that order.
And it will go in that order. You can't reverse the order too.
Yeah, like they were saying dinosaurs were there, now they're extinct. So
They're
there
in.
are new things.
So that means
yeah.
absolutely. And within that, species come, species become extinct, and then they come, the new species emerge. All that happens. In order for all that to happen, you only need what? Those 5 elements. You just change the permutation and combination, and it becomes something else. Infinite permutations and combinations within it. Okay, so now this Atma is na Shashvataha Puranaha. It's ever new, because it doesn't go through. Ever new doesn't mean it's always new in that sense. It means that these 6 stages it doesn't have to go through. Right? Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Okay, so therefore, if you are suffering because for this mortality, right? So that your own mortality and also what? All the loved ones. This is where Arjuna was what? Very disturbed, that he saw that if he were to win the war, he has to what? Kill not only his loved ones but all the other people, and the level of destruction that he was going to cause was just extraordinary. And that's why he says, but if the real nature of Atma is what? It never dies. There is only one Atma, and it never undergoes any change. It is the truth of everything. Okay, so now the next verse is talking about this physical bodies. Okay, so it says Vasam sijirnani yatha vihaya navani grunati naroparani तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. Okay, so here he says, now what you know, when I talked about this physical body and the mind, right? Now that those two, what happens to you after this physical body at the time of the death? Then what? This physical body goes and even the mind goes. So what happens? So Atma certainly remains, because Atma is the one which is the truth of time and space, within which all the different forms come and go, and the very right now. But what happens to, because your body is different from my body, and so that means there is one more individuality, there is one more level of our individuality. What is that level of individuality that we have? This physical body is what in Sanskrit we call it Sthula Sharira. Okay, and the entire, this mind and the capacity of my senses, my pancha prana. Pancha prana are what? My inhaling, exhaling, my digestion, circulation, excretion, the whole function, the physiological functions. This is part of Sukshma Sharira. Okay, so there is one more. It says Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Okay, like you give up old clothes and you wear new ones. Okay, now when this physical body and the mind goes, there is a travel. And what is a travel? Is the travel for Atma? No. Travel is not for Atma, but until the time that you know your true nature, there is this travel. Because we give up this world thinking what? I am only this body and mind. How many people solve this puzzle of your being here and figure out I am that what Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. How many people you think leave this world with this knowledge?
Very, very, very.
Very, very few. So until you figure it out in this lifetime, you will give up your body thinking what? I'm this much, right? That's the normal thinking that everybody has. As long as you think you are this body and mind, you are essentially who? You are essentially what we call Karta and Bhokta. Karta means you are a doer and you're engaging in this world for what?
For the results of what
For the results of what you do. So that means Bhokta means you're an enjoyer. Essentially, you go and you live in this world with you defining yourself as what? Karta and Bhokta. Right? I'm a doer and I want to enjoy. And what do I want to enjoy with? You may like what? Italian food, she may like Chinese, you may like Thai, whatever. So what you want to enjoy is all different, but basically you define yourself as what? Enjoyer. Karta and Bhokta. You may like sports, I may like dance, or whatever. Within dance, you may like classical dance, I may like rock. Whatever it is, we are all going. When we don't go from this universe, knowing the fact that I'm Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, until the time that we know this reality, we live this world and also exit the world with understanding that I am Karta and Bhokta. That is the essential nature of myself. I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. Okay. Now when I want to enjoy a given thing, whatever is important to me, okay, I do actions. Those actions are of what? I have a choice. Right? There are so many possibilities. I want to make money. How many different choices I have to make money? Endless choices, right? What are those endless choices?
study, work, harmony.
Either you study, but study what? Endless choices. After I've studied, what should I do? Start my own business, be a social entrepreneur, be this, I don't know what, join a big firm, join a small firm. You have endless choices. Okay, now those actions, well, you have choices and you have to collapse those choices. So that means whenever you act, there are two types of results. One is what we call drishta phalam and the other one is adrishta phalam. Seen result and unseen result. Seen result means if I've done something which is right, which is appropriate, then there is a almost kind of a feedback from the universe which makes me feel what? Good, without any conflict. But if I've been a little mean, if I've been a little nasty, if I've been a little selfish, what does it do?
Agitation within.
Yeah, some agitation, some discomfort within yourself. That's how you know. Then you sit and think, yeah, did I do this right thing or not? Right? So therefore, this is what we call seen result. Universe gives immediate feedback about what? The nature of your action. Okay? But what Gita says is also there is an unseen result. Unseen result means when you will get the result is something that you don't know. I helped you today. Well, how it is going to benefit, I may feel good now, but it's not the end of the story. There is a carry forward. The carry forward is in terms of what? I will receive some help somewhere from someone totally not even, I may not even connect.
It's just an account. You have to receive help.
Absolutely. So that means this is what we call Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira is what? The account, as Aparna is saying. Okay? The account of all the unseen result that we have based on what? Our own actions. They are not some random unseen result, right? So this is what, and when will they come into manifestation? Nobody knows. That's why you call it unseen result. Okay, so therefore there is this Karana Sharira. So when this physical body goes, who travels? It takes on another body. It says Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya, okay, Navani Ghrunati Naro Uparani Tatha Sharirani Jirnani Anyani Sanyati Navani Dehi. This Dehi is Deha Asya Asti Iti Dehi. The person who has Deha is the body. Okay, it goes from what? One body to the other body. Okay, until when?
The time that you realize that you are not this body.
Absolutely. Until in one lifetime you recognize what? I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am also not this karta or bhokta, I am who? Brahman. Until then, this journey of this cycle continues.
And you take this Karana Sharir with you.
So Karana Sharira is always with you. Please understand. Right now, it's not like Karana Sharira is somewhere else, your Karana Sharira, and then it'll, wherever there is physical body, that there itself is subtle body, and there itself is Karana Sharira, causal body. Okay. Now when this physical and subtle body drops, then what happens? The Karana Sharira, which travels and takes on what? Another, the right.
According to your vasanas.
Vasana I don't want to use, because there is nowhere in this Shastra which uses the word Vasana. There is no Vasana, it's your karma. Karma means what? Your account.
But they say not your desire, what you
So that means your account is what? That is all the unseen result. How you have lived your life. Okay, so according to that, and what you have, if you have engaged, let's say you have people who are what? Child prodigy. That means what? In the previous birth I've played sitar and I've dedicated my whole life to sitar. This birth what? I may come with some exceptional abilities, right? So there, at a very young age, they are just amazing. Those little kids. They are, yeah. So that means it's your karma, right? So that means it all gets transferred. Yeah, and then you then have births, in keeping with that.
But they say that if you get a human form, then it transfers to the human form. It's a cow form, then when you were cow, when it's left, it goes in that sea.
No.
Again, depends on what your action.
So what actually, if you, I don't want to be so gross, but just to, if you slaughter a cow, then you will have to experience what? You will be born as a cow and experience a slaughter. I don't want to be simplistic, but just to say that there is no rule that, right, that you are going to be only human being. The actions that you have done, it will come back to you, and yeah, absolutely. It will. When you give so much, if in case, out of your own whatever, you give a lot of, let's say, difficult time to somebody who's below you, over which you have power, you will have to what? In the next birth, you will have to, whether from this person or not, we don't know. One has to experience how it feels to be what? Treated like that. And in that lifetime, you feel like a victim. What have I done? I haven't done anything, but look at this. So then again what do? You name the world, yeah, unfair. Again you are angry. Again you are sad, and again it's amazing. You just get what deeper and deeper into, and absolutely into this. Again you take, then again you get. So that means it's just our lives have become mess. That whole untanglement has to be done. Okay, and therefore, in order for the total entanglement, I first also need to know that I am not this person at all in the first place. I am much more than that. That is the vision of Shastra. And that Atma, while all this entanglement is going on, Atma is what? Already free, untouched. True reality. But in order for me to know that Atma clearly, I need to what? Release myself relatively from this entanglement. Why? Because how will I recognize I am what? Free from limitation, where my self-image of myself is I'm no good.
You're limiting them.
So that means then you feel, oh, I know it but I don't feel it. Why? Because there is no alignment. You have to work at what? Your self-esteem at a different level. You need, that's why the second question of Arjuna is what? How do I translate this knowledge into my day-to-day life? That we haven't even addressed yet. Alignment at a day-to-day level so that I become eligible for this knowledge. If you want to bring alignment, in alignment something, can you bring only the top portion in alignment and the bottom all unaligned? Can you? No. If you want to bring something in alignment, it has to be what? Alignment all the way. If you want to understand this big reality about your life, your daily life has to be what? In sync. It has to be in alignment. It cannot be, I can be angry and I can justify, oh, Atma is free. That will be a major problem. And he said, oh, anger happens only at the level of mind. You can use this knowledge to justify everything. That is a problem. Okay, so that means you have to bring everything in alignment, and that's why Vedanta is a lifetime pursuit. Because with so much entanglement has to be all brought in alignment. It takes time, it takes effort, it requires prayers, it requires a lot of grace. We will see all of that. The whole being has the whole combination. Yeah, so alignment means I need to know how the universe works and I need to align. All this will come in Ishvara. It will come. It's a very detailed analysis. Detailed analysis. But this,
alignment with the nature, that's
yeah, everything,
comes
exactly, everything comes back. How we,
also the
yeah,
you receive.
how you live your life. It all has to be in alignment. In alignment with what? In alignment with Ishvara. What is that Ishvara? All this will come. Bhagavad Gita is extraordinary. It's an extraordinary book. It is just that a book like this can exist itself is a wonder. It's a marvel. It's so complete. Okay, but right now, so what actually gives up the Dehi, which gives up different bodies and takes on new one, is what? This person who has what?
And a doer and enjoyer.
Is not yet come to know the final reality about oneself, but takes oneself to be what? The doer and the enjoyer. This particular, the person which does not yet know the reality, we give it a name called Jiva. Jeev. You've all heard Jiva. And Jiva has 3 bodies. What are the bodies? Sthula, Sukshma and Karana Sharira. And what is Swarupa of this Jiva? Atma, which is Brahman. Okay, so until this reality is not known, the jiva takes on what? Different physical bodies and subtle bodies, depending upon what is there in their karana sharira. So this is what Lord Krishna says. Okay, and what, just one more verse about the nature of Atma, which will highlight a little bit what you're talking about, this elemental jagat, okay, and how this body is part of that elemental jagat, that it will highlight. Then it will go to how to use this knowledge for what? Untangling your daily life. Okay.
So until the Jivatma realizes,
Yes.
then it becomes karma.
Yeah. So when jiva recognizes the reality of oneself being that Brahman, which is also the reality of Ishvara, then there is freedom, moksha.
And then too, you still your accounts, which, I mean, some go away and some you still settle, but you
No, all that we haven't seen yet. We will see, right? So for this, the account completely is closed, because the whole what puzzle is
yeah.
solved. So therefore, if you are not the doer, then there is no question in of coming and exactly. So that karta bhokta being your final reality itself is negated by knowing that I am Brahman.
So the recognition happens how?
Yeah.
So the recognition happens when you listen to Shastra properly and reflect
good
upon.
enough?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
what
good
I want to
enough.
ask.
Absolutely. Hey, that is,
Listen,
as I said, whole alignment.
application of the
The whole alignment is so critical, because when I continue to think of myself as one little feeling, and I feel that I have understood, that means there is so much misunderstanding, which all has to be shed.
So you go through your emotions.
And so emotions and all, there is a big discussion. So it's not just, it's not like 1 hour talk that oh, this is what you do with your emotions and this is what you do. Hey, you have to spend time with Shastra. You have to listen to it very carefully with a lot of alertness and see, and the whole realignment of your being from all these years and lifetimes of tanglement. It takes time. Orientations we have, all that needs to be undone. It takes time. But Shastra gives amazing frameworks to align. So we have to expose to all these things. All these things will come. We are only on the 2nd chapter of Gita, 18 chapters. It's a jewel. It's a jewel. Okay, so all that, just little bit of patience, it'll all come. Okay, what is the role of meditation? What is karma yoga? Sattva, rajas, tamas, raga, dvesha, everything will come. Ishvara, everything will come. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.